Hello, everyone. And today we are starting with Chapter 7 Sources of Finance and Financial Strategies. So, what does sources of finance and financial strategies mean? First, before understanding the topic itself, we should understand from the basic of it, the root cause of it. So, the root, everything has a basic background knowledge. So, what we are going to study right now is that how and why the businesses need capital, right? The businesses need capital to grow. They need money to grow. They need money to buy raw materials. They need money to buy machinery. They need money to market their product. So they need capital for various purposes which the business would have. So what are the ways through which business will actually get money from? First is, suppose someone is starting a business right now. If I have to start a business today, I would need some capital for it. Maybe I need a just a laptop, or maybe I need just a camera to start a YouTube channel, maybe. So even if I'm taking YouTube channel as a business kind of thing, I need some capital. And if I need capital, I will first use my own money. So first source of money is my own money. Second would be from my family and relatives. Family and relatives can give me some money because I need more capital. I may not have that much of money of my own. So I will ask my family and relatives to support me and give me some money. So family and relatives will come forward. Third thing would be that I go to a bank and I ask them for a loan. But I might not get a loan because I have to see that whether I'm eligible for any kind of loan or not, and whether the bank is willing to give me that much of loan or not. Because suppose if I am starting a business, I have no idea of how to start a business, I have no idea of running a business. So bank may refuse me a loan. So what are the other revenues? So if third third source of money could be from bank. Fourth source of money is I can raise money through equity shares. So before going to the equity shares, I would first come to the some very good investors. Like if you want to raise money, you can go to a rich person, a wealthy person who is ready and willing to invest in your company. So these investors are called angel investors, or you can go to a private equity or venture capitalist firms. So these firms, especially VCs, that is the venture capitalist firm, they provide money to the startup. So there are many ways through which startups can raise money. One of them is VCs. So you can go to different investors and raise money. So this is the fourth source of money. Now, businesses can raise money through shares, which are also called equity. But what happens in equity? When you will give share of your company to the public, you are also giving ownership of your company to the public. So one of the thing is that you can raise money through equity or share capital. Next is through bonds. Bonds are bonds are similar to FDs. If in simple language you want to understand what bonds are, so they are FDs. So let us see how banks work. Banks take deposit from customer. Bank will take deposit as FD, and bank has, suppose FD is of 1 lakh rupees for 3 years, and bank has promised to the depositor that we will give you 7% rate of interest on this 1 lakh of FD, which you will keep with us for 3 years. And bank will keep some certain part of that money, and rest it will lend it to the borrowers as loans. So borrowers will give bank, suppose 9%, bank has to give 7%. The difference amount will be the bank's earning. This is how banks work. But if a business is taking money from the bank, it is ultimately taking from the public, because public has deposited their money in the bank, and bank is lending it to the businesses. But if business goes directly to the public to lend them that money, so if this FD would have been directly been provided by the business, this is called bonds. You can, in a simple way, you can understand that this is a bond, but this is a legal document. There are a lot of documentation process has to be done before you actually you could actually raise money through bonds. But for simplicity, you can understand that the businesses are taking loans directly from the public without taking the help of the banks, and they promise to pay a certain amount of interest on whatever deposit they are able to mobilize from the public. Those will be called bonds, but for that they have to make payment of certain interest rate. And there is a, in between bonds and share or equity, there is another instrument which is called preference share. Preference share. We will go through the details of preference shares, bonds, shares, and equity in this chapter. And we will see that what are the pros and cons of taking money from these instruments. So the basic understanding is that the business needs capital. It has various sources, but for every sources, they have to give certain rate of interest to the public or the bank or from anywhere they are raising the money. So learning objective of this particular chapter is equity capital, internal accrual. So internal accrual is basic the profit which the company has retained. Preference capital, there are term loans and debentures. Term loans can be taken from the banks and debentures are basically the bonds. And there are certain alternative strategies where they can go for P, FDI, or emerging models are also there. So in introduction, why business need finance? It need finance for establishing business and running them. Promoter provide initial long-term equity. So first, promoters will come up with their own money or their family and relatives' money. If the project is too large, long-term borrowing is preferred, and bridge finance fills the gap until term loan are released. So sometimes they also take bridge finance, which is a very short period, which is a loan which is of very short period of time, and they would be able to mobilize more funds from somewhere else, but for the time being they need certain money, so for that they will take bridge finance. The debt equity norm: for every 100 of equity one can safely borrow up to 200. Long term versus working capital finance. So working capital finance based on the gap between current asset and current liabilities. It is basically the difference between current asset and current liabilities. The operational cycle means, what is operational cycle? Operational cycle means from cash to cash. So you need cash to buy raw material. Then you will convert this into work in progress. This will get converted into finished good. Then you will package it and you will send it to the retail stores. In retail stores, you will sell these products and you will again get cash. So this whole process of from cash to cash is called operational cycle. Bankers insist on borrower contribution toward the gap. Bank will take, what is this called? This is called the margin money. So we will take certain margin money in the banks, and the quantum varies with business activity levels and how well you manage and minimize the gap. Financial strategies and cost of funds. So your strategy from where you will take those money or mobilize those capital will depend on what cost of funds you will have to bear. Like for banks, you will have to pay 8 or 9% of rate of interest. For bondholders also, you will have to give them 7 to 8% rate of interest. For equity holders, because they are taking more risk, they need more money. And that is why you will have to give them more interest. So that would come around 10, 12%. Equities are called clean finance and they are the costliest because they are taking the maximum risk. Equity holders and why they are taking the maximum risk, we'll see in this chapter itself. So, no assets to fall upon in default because equity holders have no assets to fall upon if the company defaults. Lender charges higher interest rates. Equity, preference share, and unsecured debentures are examples of clean finance and they are the costliest. There are certain secured finance where certain kind of security has been kept aside for making payment to them. So they are called secured finance. Borrowing backed by fixed or current assets. It could be any fixed or current asset which can be kept as a security. Rate depends on balance sheet strength, profitability, track record, and credit rating. So the rate which you will have to give, whether it is in the case of secured bonds or bank loans, it will depend on the factors like balance sheet strength, profitability, track record, and the credit rating of the company. Credit rating can be done by the banks also. These are called internal ratings, and certain external ratings are also taken. And strategy goal is to maximize advantage, minimize cost, and the right permutation of long-term and short-term sources. So this is what the goal of the business would be, on which they will strategize their financial needs. So far, first comes the equity capital, which is also called shares. So you can buy shares of a company. So what shares basically means, a company, when they want to raise money from the public, they will give shares to the people. When they give shares to the people, it means they are giving certain amount of ownership to the people. So what happens is, when they have to raise equity shares, they will first value the company, and then they will decide what will be the value of per share, what will be the price of per share. Then they will go for an IPO, which is called initial public offer, where they will get listed on the stock exchange. And when they are listed on stock exchange, then public will be able to buy shares of that company. Whoever will buy these shares will have certain ownership of this company. So, and any person who has taken shares, who has bought shares of a company, they get paid um, in two ways. One is called dividend. So they get dividend if the company decides to pay them through dividends. So dividends are basically from profit. The company decides to give certain part of their profit to the people who had invested in the shares of that particular company. So they are given dividend and they are also given capital appreciation on the shares. So they also expect capital appreciation on share. Suppose you bought a share of a company at 100 rupees. After 20 years, you expect this to go to, suppose, 10,000 rupees per share. And you are also expecting that in the meanwhile, in all these 10 years, you are paid certain amount of dividend. Maybe it could be 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever that would be. It depends on what profit the company is earning, whether they want to distribute it or not, whether they want to retain it and use it for the development of the company. So first it is divided into units. Each share has the same nominal value and can be priced at par, premium, or discount. At par means if they have the nominal value if is 100 and you can buy it at 100, this is called at par. If nominal value is, this is nominal value. And if nominal value is 100 but you can buy it at 97, this is called at discount. You can buy it at discount and you will get this 100 back. Or you, because there is huge demand of this particular share, you are buying it at 110 rupees, even though the nominal value is 110, then this is called premium. And why would people invest more? Because they are expecting that this will grow much more than 110. That is why they are able to buy it even at premium. You also give, in case of equity shares, you have to give financial rights to the people. So they have right to income through dividends and they have surplus asset on liquidation. So whatever surplus asset on during liquidation, whatever surplus assets remains, that goes to the equity shareholders. And they also get the voting rights except DVR shares. Liquidity and exit: listed shares can be sold on stock exchange. Shareholders can exit at will following prescribed rules. And there is flexibility to the company as well, that the company can enhance, they can reduce, they can subdivide the shares, they can buy back the shares or issue as bonus shares. They can also give bonus shares to the already existing shareholders. There are types of share capital. First is called authorized or nominal share capital. So authorized or nominal shareholder means a not shareholder, sorry. Authorized nominal share capital means the capital which has been authorized by the regulator. You first have to take permission from the regulator that I want to raise that much of money, but maybe not immediately. Maybe over a period of time, I want to raise 10 crore of rupees, but right now I need only 3 crore of rupees. So you will take permission for 10 crore rupees from the regulators. This is called authorized capital. Issued capital is out of 10 crore, you need only 3 crore right now. So because you need 3 crore, you will issue 5 crore because not every issue will be paid back to you. So this issue is called, the issued capital is called, the shares which you will issue is called the issued capital. Then how many people actually subscribe for this 5 crore? Suppose only 4 crore, up to 4 crore amount has been subscribed by the people. So this is called subscribed capital. Out of this 4 crore, because people have only registered it, or maybe they have made part payment, you have received, uh, so this will be called up to the public, and that called up will be called up capital. And whatever, suppose called up capital was 4 crore itself, so this is called up, it could be less also, it depends. And paid up would be the actual payment which you receive. You called up for 3.4 crore, but you actually received 3 crore. So this is called your paid up capital. You actually needed 3 crore rupees. So you issued 5 crore. Out of that 5 crore, 4 crore was subscribed. Out of subscribed 4 crore, 3.4 crore was called up to the people to deposit the money. And out of this called up money, only 3 crore you have actually received the money in full, and that is called paid up capital. So authorized capital is the maximum a company can issue. So issued, subscribed, called up, paid up represent the progressive narrowing. Unpaid amount are become call in areas. This 0.4 crore, this was called up but was not paid. So this is called call in arrear. This is called call in arrear. And persistent non-payment leads to forfeited shares. And even if the company is trying to raise that money, and even if it is not raised, then those shares are called forfeited shares. Why equity capital, not just loans? We companies go for equity capital because they don't have to make compulsory reward or interest payment. No repayment obligation is there. They don't have to actually repay that money back to the investors. It provides risk capital difficult to source otherwise, because it provides risk capital which is difficult to source otherwise. People are ready to give because they are believing in you, and they are ready to actually um, they are ready to take bet on you. It gives a sense of ownership to the people who have taken shares of your company, because they feel that they are part owner of that company. Higher equity is equal to higher lender confidence. Drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of issuing equity capital? Drawback is shareholders who are investing in your shares, they are expecting higher returns. So cost of capital is high. Cost of capital is high means Because suppose the customers are, or the shareholders, they require 15%. So as a business, your cost of capital is 15%. So higher returns, whatever their expected higher returns would be, that will become cost of capital to the business. It is expensive to raise because you have to do the ads, brokerage, underwriting, compliance. For this, the company has to make the payment. Dividend paid from post-tax profits, so not tax deductible, which simply means it is not beneficial as per the tax terms, and it dilutes the promoter's holding and management control, because now the promoter don't have that much of control over it, because you have given certain ownership of your company to the shareholders. Then comes internal accrual. Internal accrual basically means profit after tax. But in the profit after tax, we also add non-cash provision and depreciation, because they are not the actual cash expense. They are just accounting expense, and that is why they are added back, and that is called internal accrual. Advantage is that there is no restriction on use, because this is your own money. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do, you can do that. Usable for long-term and short-term purposes, can be used for both purpose. No servicing cost or cost of raising, because you don't have give money to anyone else. Readily available and liquid, no ownership dilution or control loss, because this was your profit which you had earned last year. Disadvantage is that you tendency for indiscriminate use. Sometimes if we have our own money, we use it mindlessly. So real cost is higher and represent undeclared dividend, because you decided that you will use it, you have not paid the dividend. Overuse hurt shareholders. Sometimes if you are overusing that profit, you hurt shareholders because you are not paying them back through dividends. Weakens dividend track record. Sometimes it weakens the dividend track record, and may fund poorly scrutinized projects. That you will, because that was your own money, you will fund poorly scrutinized projects. Now comes preference capital. So preference capital is an instrument which is somewhere in between bonds and uh, equity shares, because preference capital holder, they also get dividend. Preference shares offer lesser risk than equity holders, and they get priority on dividend and liquidation payment. They are called preference shares because if a company has to be liquidated, if it closes, then the first payment will go to the bondholders. Then the payment will be given to the preference capital holder. So preference shareholder, and after that only the equity holder will get the payment. So it is a quasi risk capital, not as safe as secure debt, but safer than equity. You get fixed dividend rate in preference shares like debentures, dividend from post-tax profits, not tax deductible. Cumulative shares guarantee unpaid dividend if it is a cumulative preference share. So this is a kind of preference share where you get the cumulative payment. Suppose the company decided to not give any dividend in 2025 and it was a cumulative preference share. So they will have to give the dividend of 2025 and 2026. So that is called cumulative shares guarantee unpaid dividends accumulate, and it must be redeemed within 20 years. So as per Companies Act 2013, these preference shares have to be redeemed within 20 years, and there are limited voting rights. A preference shareholder will get voting rights only if the company doesn't give dividend for 2 consecutive years. Why raise preference capital? Because it is a long-term fund. You have funds for 20 years, even longer for infrastructure companies. Low raising cost, most privately placed, no expensive public issue required. So you don't have to do ads, you don't have to pay for brokerage. No dilution, control dilution, because you're not giving ownership, you're not giving voting rights as such. So there is no control dilution. And it improves debt equity because part of net worth strengthens the current balance sheet ratio. Key drawback is non-payment of dividend for 2+ years triggers voting right for preference shareholders, creating management uncertainty. Dividend is also tax non-deductible and raising the real cost. Next comes term loans. So a major source of long-term finance from banks and financial institution has always been the term loan. Relatively, it is cheaper to service than equity because cost of capital will be lower and generally used to finance setting up and expansion of projects, and repayment is over medium to long term, which is 5 to 10 years of repayment period. What are the key features of term loan? We, as a banker, we have seen lot of term loans. It is car loan, home loan. So companies also take a lot of term loans for buying machinery or for purchasing land or for building their factories. So the period will depend. The features would depend on period. It could be short term if less than 1 year, medium term if it is 1 to 5 years, and long term if it is 5 to 10 years. And housing loan, we have seen it goes up to 30 years. Purpose of term loan would be to acquire land, building or plant and machinery, and shorter term for capacity buildup. Interest is usually either fixed or negotiated rate, or it could be payable monthly, quarterly, or embedded in AMI. And we also charge a certain penalty if the payment is delayed. And we also take, as a banker, we take security. So charge over primary asset, collateral from promoters, personal assets can be taken, and independent valuation is also required. Feature of term loan also includes repayment, that how the repayment will be done. It could be monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly installment, or it could be bullet payment. Bullet payment means you pay the principal plus interest at the time of maturity. Moratorium is granted. Moratorium is a time period which is given to the person before the actual EMI starts. Foreign currency loans can also be taken from the banks. Working capital term loan is taken where a short-term loan when cash credit is overdrawn due to temporary liquidity constraint, if there is certain kind of liquidity constraints. Otherwise, what happens is for liquidity, companies take working capital loan from the bank, which is in the form of CC or OD. But if there is certain constraints, then they can take term loan also. That is called working capital term loan. Conversion to equity, loans may convert to equity by agreement or during restructuring, and valuation mechanism is pre-agreed. Sometimes loans can also be converted into equity if the customer is not able to make the payment or if it is already provided in the agreement. And amount of loan and appraisal, that is also given, and bank will also examine economic and technical viability will be checked. Conversion and moratorium, so it can be converted to equity as per the terms given in the agreement, or if the company is not able to repay the bank, then in that case also the loan is converted into equity and grace period is given as moratorium. Typical agreement condition would have certain governance and control and certain things related to financial and compliance. For governance and control, these could be provided in the agreement of the term loan, like board reconstitution and independent director, lender seat on the board, prior consent for merger, new projects and equity changes, restrictions on dividend payout, that how much dividend can be paid by the company, and strong corporate governance requirement would be there. Quarterly, for financial and compliance, there could be certain quarterly data, annual audited balance sheet have to be provided to the bank. Independent credit rating will be needed. Ceiling of further borrowing, first charge or pari passu charge, because we take collateral loan. So either we will have first charge on the property or we will have pari passu charge with any other financial institution. Or pledge of promoter shares. Sometimes we also take pledge of the promoter shares. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of taking a term loan from the bank? Advantage is that you don't give shareholding, you are not giving your ownership to the bank. Risk capital at a fixed cost, so gains stay with equity holders. Interest is tax deductible, so you get tax benefit also. Repayment over time is cheaper due to inflation, cost of raising much lower than equity, and lender conditions improve governance and discipline. Disadvantage is that in low inflation, your actual real interest becomes higher because you'll have to pay higher, because this becomes a uh, fixed expense. Even if your company is not going good, you have to repay the loan. So that real interest cost becomes higher in case of low inflation. Restrictive clauses can hinder dynamic decision making in the company. Heavy borrowing, lower credit rating, over leveraging may lead to debt trap because you will have to make the payment of the interest, and interest is a fixed cost which hurts profit when volume falls. So this is it for today's video. We will do the rest of the unit in the classes. So we have already started the batch. If you want to join, the link is in the description and you can join the batch, and we'll complete the chapter during the classes. And I hope you like the video. If you like the video, then share this video with all your friends and colleagues who would like to join our classes and would like to prepare for their CIB exams. Thanks a lot.